Yogas, favorable combinations. Given by Jupiter, astrologer Aditya Guruji, Jupiter has a special distinguished place amongst the 9 planets, and hence the yogas, favorable combinations, ascribed by Jupiter also have a very significant place in astrology. We would see about some of them now. Hamsa Yoga, Panchamahapurush Yogas, 5 favorable combinations leading to making of a great personality, are 5 different favorable combinations that are ordained to elevate a human being to highest echelons in his field and thereby transforming him to a great personality. Amongst these, the yoga given by Jupiter is termed as Hamsa Yoga. Why I am giving such a detailed explanation to the Panchamahapurush yogas, that have been greatly revered in our fundamental texts, is because some people exaggerate that even if one of these yogas is present, then it would raise a king or would bestow great benefits, etc. Actually, our divine sages have drafted this great philosophy, with the support of Almighty, ensuring that not a single extra or ambiguous word finds a place. If we are unable to clearly understand any concept that has been divulged by our sages, it only means that our knowledge of astrology has not matured as yet. Misinterpretation of the concepts is only because of the inexperience and inabilities within us and not a deficiency of this divine doctrine. Accordingly, these are Panchamahapurush yogas only and not Panchamahapurush Raja yogas, 5 favorable combinations leading to making of a king, while our sages have clearly worded in the scriptures on the formal attainment of Nichabanga, cancellation of debilitation, as Nichabanga Raja Yoga, cancellation of debilitation and making of a king. They have also clearly delineated that barring the luminous planets Sun and Moon, the Mahapurush Yoga are attributable only to the Panchabhutha planets, viz., Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Mars and Mercury when they are placed in Lagna Kendra or own or exalted houses, and this yoga is simply a Mahapurush yoga and not a Raja yoga. The luminous planets, Sun and Moon, or some other special combinations of planets, or the Parvatha Raja yoga, special combination of making of a king, can take the credit towards making one a king or equivalent to a king. A king wields all kinds of authority. He would be able to gain whatever he wants at any given time. At the same time, a billionaire is only a rich person. He is not a king, he is a subsidiary of the king. Understanding such small differences amongst the yogas would be helpful in perfecting the predicting ability. Accordingly, Panchamahapurush yogas would elevate the native in the respective domains, would make him a great personality. If Jupiter is stronger, he would be a leader in the domains of Jupiter. If Saturn is stronger and this yoga is in place, then he is a leader of the lower categories of employees. That's all, never a king. Accordingly, when Jupiter takes Kendra positions to the 8 movable and dual ascendants, that is, Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, Sagittarius, Capricorn and Pisces, Hamsa Yoga occurs. Another corollary to this yoga is that when Jupiter gets strengthened in the ascendants, then the native would be a good person, gullible enough to be duped by others. Generally, as Jupiter's association with that ascendant would bestow virtues of good thoughts, discipline, affection, compassion and forgiveness even beyond a certain limit. The natives would in general be good-natured. In some situations, it is a disadvantage that they are only good and not smart, since they would believe too much in the other person and get deceived. Nevertheless, as Jupiter is powerful, he would bestow good children and wealth prospects through Hamsa Yoga. When Jupiter attains Kendradipathiya Dosha, malefic effect due to the placement in an angular house, for dual ascendants, he would give very harmful effects. As in general it is good for a benefic to occupy a trinal house, the corollary is that a strongly placed Jupiter in an angle gives adverse results. Similarly to Virgo and Gemini, as he happens to be the Kendradipathy and Bardakadipathy, if he is strongly placed all alone in the 7th, Vardaka house, he would harm during his Dasa major period. Gajikisara Yoga. Gajikisara Yoga is one of the finest yogas of Jupiter. This yoga materializes when Jupiter and Moon are in angles to each other. Our scriptures indicate that the native blessed with this yoga will be victorious over his enemies. I have often repeated that our scriptures conceal each one of the sukshmas, intricacies, and permit their inner ideology to be revealed appropriately with increasing levels of understanding. Accordingly, when it is said that the persons blessed with Gajikisara Yoga would win over his enemies, the sukshma, intricately hidden implication is that he would have enemies. Also, Gaja refers to elephant and Kisari refers to a lion, further implying that the natives blessed with this yoga would have enemies equivalent or even stronger to himself. It is a hidden sukshma, intricacy, that he would himself create his enemies through his deeds and win over them ultimately. Hence, it cannot be concluded that Gajikisara Yoga would bestow favors altogether, because, when a life without enemies is certainly peaceful, why at all should there be enemies and why to win them over? Jupiter would bless with such strange situations through this combination. A significant fact here would be that yoga or a combination of planets would be supportive towards answering an important question at certain situations. For example, when a question is asked as to what would be predominantly affected when the Dasa of the sixth lord signifying debt, disease and enemy, is running, then to answer the question accurately, combinations like Gajikisara Yoga would be supportive. Under these circumstances, if Saturn, the significator of debt and disease, is powerful, then during the Dasa of the sixth lord, debt and health issues would predominate. Alternately, if the Gajikisara Yoga is powerful than the Saturn, then in that Dasa the problems due to enemies would also be existing. Is Sakata Yoga favorable or unfavorable? There is a notion that Sakata Yoga arises when Jupiter is placed at 6th, 8th or 12th from Moon, but according to our scriptures, placement of Moon in 6th, 8th or 12th to Jupiter is only termed as Sakata Yoga. Sakata refers to a wheel and hence the native blessed with this yoga continuously faces ups and downs in his life. In my long years of astrological research, I have seen many people sustaining in higher positions for a number of years, or on the other side the ones constantly dwelling with problems. Also, the ups and downs depend on the Dasa and Bhakti system of the native. This does not depend on the planetary yoga. The ups and downs indicated by this arrangement is no longer relevant in the recent times. In good old days the persons with this yoga could possibly have had such experiences, or it could have been insertion of the self-proclaimed theories of some astrologers in the intermittent period. I would like to stress upon an additional point here, that as any yoga will eventually shower wholesome benefits only to the ascendants of the friends of the planet bestowing the yoga, the ascendants of Sun, Moon and Mars, who are friends of Jupiter, only benefit fully from the yogas of Jupiter, as Sakata Yoga is a combination that is not expected to give good results. To the ascendants of Cancer, Leo, Aries, Scorpio of Sun, Moon, Mars and Sagittarius, Pisces of Jupiter would only experience the harmful effects. On the other hand, to the ascendants of Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Libra, Capricorn, Aquarius of Venus, Mercury and Saturn, that are inimical to Jupiter, when Moon is placed in 6th, 8th or 12th to Jupiter, adverse results cannot be realized. As another exception, it is told that when this yoga occurs with Moon in Jupiter's house or Jupiter in Moon's house, or when Jupiter or Moon placed in their own house or exaltation, it is termed as Raja Sakata Yoga or Kalyana Sakata Yoga, that would not do any harm but would give favorable results.